Hello and welcome back to Processing the Process, where we capture and discuss the technical, psychological, and contextual dynamics that shape the process of creating a work of art. Week by week, moment by moment, we're following Jonathan Riddell, choreographer and artistic director of Riddell Dance Theater, as he creates his latest works for RDT's Second Story Dance project and delves into new creative territory. Today, we'll be focusing on Jonathan's album as well as the October 24th Second Story rehearsal. As always, we tend to start with the music, so here's a little bit of the album update. Jonathan and I spent a good deal of time strategizing about the launch and decided on a teaser release of one song. And actually, I'll tell you the name in a moment. We decided that the eblast had to be deliberately enigmatic and provocative, with a blood red background and scattered compelling words surrounding the image of the album cover, which will be the image for each individual song, actually. But in this case, the name of the song was emblazoned across the image. And to decide which song, it looks great. And to decide which song we were going to use, we drew up a list of criteria that it had to meet. So it needs to convey a good sense of character, of the main character. It needs to offer a good taste of the, we'll call it the rubber skulls sound. It needs to be seductive and irresistible. And it needs to whet the appetite for more and more. So,
Delicious.
And we unanimously agreed that When the City is Ours, the first song on the album, did actually meet the criteria. And so that was what we chose for the teaser release. Now,
And interestingly enough, that's the song that a few of my closest friends who I've played the album for in its earliest stages, they all immediately gravitated to that song and said, you should put that out there and see what kind of attention it gets. So
exactly.
It met all the criteria.
Absolutely, and then some. So when the eblast was ready, Jonathan scheduled it to go out at a particular on a particular day at a particular time. So as the moments approached for this teaser launch, John, tell us how you were feeling.
Oh, I think I was giddy. I don't think I was quite nauseous, but I was definitely a flutter. It's a dream come true. I've wanted to do something like this since I was small, and now here I am, 40-something years old, and actually kind of just very boldly doing it. So I feel young. I feel free and fresh.
Good.
It's great. So, but also like just so anxious. Like, come on, like I'm watching the little tally of how many people have viewed it because I put it in a video format and up on YouTube, so people can just go there and click on it and it tallies, of course, all the views. And I'm just then I became a little addicted to checking my phone.
Well, that's exactly.
It started to become unhealthy by the end of the day. I was like bleary-eyed and like still checking my phone every 5 seconds.
No, that's not unhealthy at all. In fact, I was going to ask you about that because it was really amazing to see what happened, which is that Jonathan's open rate and click rate, for those of you who know the lingo, and I've recently just figured it out, both rates were actually the same and were high.
That was great. That was crazy.
I'd never
seen
incredible.
That before. What that essentially means is a relatively large percentage of people opened our teaser eblast.
Yes.
And then in the eblast there's a link to the song, and the same amount of people clicked on it. So it meant everybody who opened it went and clicked on it and listened to the song, and I was like, that's awesome. Good job.
It was just amazing. And so my question was, how did you feel about that? Because the numbers continued to grow as the days progressed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that particular piece of information, I didn't even understand it at first when I got sort of the results, kind of. I was like, wait, they're the same? Those rates are the same? What does that mean? And then, I kind of figured it out and was like, oh, that's cool. But then, yeah, also watching the numbers grow on the views was exciting. And I think, and we had a fair number in the first day, and I was, proud to then be able to post another update / reminder, please view this, but to say we got X number of views in one day, isn't that great?
It's really,
so
couldn't be better.
And I think the following day too, I posted that, and I'm done. That's enough. I don't need to do it every day, but just those first 2 days, it was exciting.
Well, I won't spoil what's coming next, but we would love that same reaction. But we'll get there soon. We'll keep you posted. Then, thinking about the October 24th rehearsal, and actually leading into the rehearsal, Jonathan met with the Mamaroneck Arts Council director to examine the venue for our Art Life event that will take place on December 9th. And they worked out technical and logistical details for everything from the sound system to video projection, lighting, seating, refreshments, even storage space. So we feel good coming into this program knowing that these details are in place. And we also sent to the director a number of materials that she needed to use for their marketing communications. Then we're on to the rehearsal, and at the beginning it was costume time again, and Mandy and Lorena still we're yeah, this is process indeed. And there were the flowing white pants again, but this time with new gray unitards and nude unitards, so they were trying different combinations, and there seemed to be some mixed feelings about the nude color at this particular point in time, if you recall, and questions about the silhouette of the gray unitard. And then
we really thought that because the week prior we really liked the look of the white pants with the nude Leo underneath, but we in general, but we didn't love the color of the nude Leo. So, and we thought, a slate gray would be gorgeous. So I immediately ordered slate gray unitards, and they arrived, and I brought them to rehearsal, and we tried them on, and then we're looking at them and going, nope, this isn't right either. And it's like, okay. And of course, I'm doing this all with online shopping. So, if we were able to just go to the store all together and try these things on and see how they look, it would save some hassle. But I suppose I'm saving that logistical hassle by doing it this way. But the closer we get, the more panicked it becomes. Because each new thing I want to try, it then takes a week to
order
order and have it arrive, and then meet at the next rehearsal and try the next thing. So where we're at is we discovered that we're still in the right, we're near it, but we wanted more flesh. And I think Lori had this suggestion. It's like, well, what if we had bare midriffs and it was more of just a bra top line? And with the bras that the ladies had at the time, it did look quite lovely with the pants. But again, the bras were they looked like bras. We needed something a little more sophisticated looking, but that type of line we think is going to work. And again, we chose the slate gray color. So I think Mandy is on a shopping mission.
Yes, she is.
I'm going to now relieve myself of trying to size and figure out bra tops for these ladies. They need to do that on their own. But I very lovingly hand over the credit card and say,
Yes,
go forthwith. Go shop. So so we'll see what she comes back with. Fingers crossed.
And undoubtedly that we'll have another costume trying on
Yes.
fest next week in the beginning of rehearsals.
I
So
think
stay
we have
tuned.
2 more chances at this.
And that literally is it. So hopefully it'll all come together. And once Mandy said that she would take care of that part, everyone could move on to warm up, which was great for the bodies, but it was really a kind of catch-up period for all of you, and the exchange of a lot of information took place. So John, you suggested at that point that Mandy and Lorena start thinking about the pieces that they might want to bring back for the Art Life event in December.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so just a reminder, we're preparing for this upcoming show in November of Brittle Branches of my one piece, but Art Life is going to include as much of our full repertoire as we can.
Right.
So as many of the pieces that we've been working on over the past 2 years that we can bring back and represent.
Exactly. Jonathan also shared with Mandy and Lorena the details of his meeting with the director of the Mamaroneck Council of the Arts, so everyone's up to date with that information.
Yep.
Lorena was describing the latest developments with her new business venture, so that's very exciting, of course.
Good luck, good luck, good luck.
We wish her all the best, as always. And then I had a good time, John, listening to you and Mandy and Lorena exchange anecdotes about recent teaching experiences.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it was really, it was a fun time. But next, we got down to business, and Lorena and Mandy walked through Brittle Branches. And it was interesting for me, Jonathan, as I was watching them, because there was a lot of playful banter back and forth between them for quite some time as the piece progressed. And to me, it was such a nice reminder of the warmth and ease of that relationship. And it just came across to me in a very strong way. So it was really nice to see that.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're good folks.
They are. And in the midst of it, they were catching their own mistakes and trying to self-correct. So, but all as the patter just, continued without interruption. It was seamless. It was really interesting to watch. And at the end of that run through, Lorena asked Jonathan to clarify the spacing and timing in a particular section. And at this point, the dancers went to put on their flowing pants, and one with a broad tight top and another with a leotard, just so that we could all see what they looked like doing a run through in as full costume as we had at the time. But right before Lorena and Mandy began that next run through, Jonathan had a couple of keynotes that he wanted to, I thought of it, implant in their brains and bodies.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of like a mission statement.
Exactly. And could you share with us? There were really 4 very key pieces.
So, over the past few rehearsals, we've been getting into micro details. And just before this run, I just wanted to remind them of the broad strokes, the most sort of important almost like the themes of the dance. It's nice to then just think about the big picture and let the details come organically as you focus on the big picture. So I reminded them to really perform through their focus, through their eyes, to really see to see each other, to see almost an imaginary environment around them, to get lost in that world, in their imaginations, and you do that very. It can be done very well and very easily and genuinely through the eyes. I reminded them of their hands, how important hands are in this piece, the tactility of the hands and the design and shape of the hands. That their relationship is paramount, that there be an emotional connection between them, and that the piece should build an emotional power as it goes on. So do start off strong, but then continue to get stronger and stronger and go deeper into the emotional component, and let the emotions bubble up and rise and become quite tormented by the end, or quite powerful by the end. So focus, hands, relationship, and building the power by the end of the piece.
And so they, of course, went into this run with those things top of mind. John, then can you share with us the notes that you gave them afterwards, as they had sort of taken that all in and then given it back to you in the way that they did?
Sure. Well, overall, I thought it was another jump, another big improvement on the piece. I very much enjoyed what I saw. These are the notes I had written down. They took all of those broad stroke details, and the piece is really coming to life, I told them. I did then continue to say that I wanted Lorena's movements to cause Mandy's movements in certain phrases. So the idea that one person initiates a movement that then continues into the other person's body. So when they're partnering each other, one person should initiate, as opposed to the two of them trying to move together at the same time. In one of those partnering sequences, we then clarified the spacing and who, again, is leading. We then worked on some smaller details too, the timing and placement of their legs in one of the more entwined sequences, so they wouldn't quite trip on each other so much, but so the audience could see the design of how their legs are entwined more. There's a sequence where Lori is doing small gestures and Mandy is jumping and leaping around her, and I asked Mandy to not only make her movements big and powerful and fly through space, but do it in such a way where she feels connected to Lori. Perhaps she's thinking about her as she's doing it. Perhaps she's sort of leaning towards Lori with her body. Perhaps she's looking at her with her eyes, or just using the idea that you're energetically connected, and all of those things that I just said would then sort of happen naturally when you feel somebody in space, even if you're not touching them. And finally, I had a note from Mandy in her solo. I wanted her to get even more gooey with her ribs and her pliés on a few movements.
What does gooey mean? If you can.
Gooey, like to move more. So like I wanted her ribs, the ribs are right by the hips. So if we move the ribs and hips against each other more, we see more motion through the body. And well, yeah, in a gooey way, in a more taffy. Here we just get into poetic words, but in a way that's lugubrious, as opposed to sharp and angled and quick, and coming to finishes. do it in a way that there's more ebb and flow, and it's a softer, rounder energy. Might be a way to talk about it too.
Thank you.
Words.
From a wordsmith.
Okay.
Well, at that point, though, unfortunately, John had to leave to attend a funeral. So, another external challenge, you had to leave early.
Yes.
One of the final rehearsals leading up to the big day.
Yeah,
but I
seems
felt
to
that
be happening a lot.
I know, but I think the good news here is that you really got a lot in, and it was very, very productive in the time a lot that you had. So, and when you left, Mandy and Lorena did another run through, and afterwards they did some clarifying on their own, particularly about spacing in a traveling section that gets a little unclear, or has been unclear at some point. And when Mandy and Lorena were preparing to leave, Mandy said that she is going to think about her solo from Lorena's Voices piece during the week so that she's ready to bring that back in rehearsal next week.
Oh, yeah, great.
And that led me to my final question, Jonathan, for you personally, but maybe even in general. What are your thoughts about returning to the pieces that are part of the repertoire, as you say, but that you have not paid attention to in quite a long time? One, because there was a hiatus over the summer, and two, because, of course, with the Steffi Nelson showcase at the Emmeline coming up, Brittle Branches has been the absolute top priority to get that ready. So what is your feeling about bringing these other pieces back, and in general, maybe in your career, perhaps, what is it like to dust off elements of the repertory and bring them back to life?
That's an interesting question. It's unique. It's a unique experience. I mean, it really is kind of like, I don't know, pulling a favorite book back off the shelf and then starting to read it again, except you're reading it with the intention of memorizing it and reciting it, so you really have to get to know it all over again. It can, in many ways, it can be like riding a bike. All of a sudden, like, all you need to really do is just, think through it once or twice, and you're like, oh, and it all comes back to you quick, which is great. Muscle memory helps so much in that way. And I'm really hoping that will be the case. I know I haven't thought about the piece that I need to be thinking about yet. Brittle Branches has utterly consumed us, and so I'm very much in a, well, I will cross that bridge when I get to it mentality. I hope to have the headspace to start to let those worlds cross a little bit, so that maybe I can start preparing for the December show before the November show has happened. But I'm also fully prepared and assuming that it's just going to be all focus on the November show. The November show will happen, and then immediately it's just going to be, all right, switch gears, and we have maybe 3 weeks.
Four if you include the day before Thanksgiving, which is a question mark.
Yeah, so we're going to say 3 weeks, 3 rehearsals to get the other pieces back. The good news, of course, is, and the reason why we're able to be focused in this way, is that Art Life is really a work in progress type showcase. So we're not, of course we want to dance the best we can, and we certainly will, but it's, that's different than, preparing for a full show with costumes and lights and critics and video and all this stuff. This is, this is not that type of show. So I am confident we'll be able to get the pieces back with integrity for the Art Life program in December. Absolutely.
And perhaps
we'll just be doing it very quickly. That's all.
and as you've mentioned, maybe it's the every chance you get in between rehearsals to
Yes.
review it mentally,
Right.
listen to the music, whatever you have to do. And as you always say, you guys are pros. You've been down this road many times, and you'll pull it together when you have to and do what you need to do in the bathroom, in wherever it is, to make sure that it does come back if it's not like riding a bike.
Right. And the other thing is, these are also at least the full pieces and the excerpts that we're planning to present are done. They are at least complete thoughts. Maybe they'll get refined and worked on more later, but we're not planning on any changes before Art Life 2. So we really just have to focus on bringing them back, not continuing to craft.
Construct.
That would be a whole other.
Oy.
That would be a whole other crazy mess.
Well, we certainly have a lot on our plates and a lot of process to tell you about in a really short time. From the upcoming launch of your album, stay tuned, we'll let you know, to the November show and then the December show, so all packed into really a 2-month period. There's a lot on our burners, but it's very exciting and fulfilling, and it's a joy to be able to share it with you, our colleagues. So thank you once again for being with us tonight, and we'll see you next week.